Welcome to another Tea Time show with me, Mark Tillison. Today we're talking about how to do internal link optimization for SEO. And I'm joined by Emily Walton, who's one of our SEO superstars. So briefly, our agenda is going to be, we're going to give Emily a bit of a grilling with questions that come up an awful lot in our coaching and consultancy that we do with clients for SEO. So we're going to be covering what are internal links in SEO. Are internal links good for SEO? How do you find these internal links and broken links, that kind of stuff? And how do you optimize internal links to help your rankings on Google? As usual, please ask in the comments if you do have questions, if something's not clear, or if you need to hire us for coaching, consultancy, or just to make your website rank better. You can find us at tillison.co.uk. So hi, Emily. First time on a Tea Time show, a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
So just give us a quick 2 minutes. What's kind of a typical day for you in SEO?
Oh gosh, that's a lot to fit into 2 minutes. Well, so a typical day is working on a ton of different clients. They from a variety of different industries to basically help their SEO, doing all different pillars of SEO. So we work from a technical point of view, a content point of view, obviously an internal linking point of view that we're going to talk about now, and of course link building, which is another pillar of SEO. So sort of an all-round kind of view that I get of the clients, and then obviously the team as well help us to boost those stats.
Cool. Okay, and I know you've got a slide deck just to kind of guide this conversation instead of us going rambling off in different directions. So do you want to share your screen and just kind of walk us through that, and maybe we'll handle some of the typical questions as we go?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think the first thing to kind of cover is what an internal link is really. So in its basic form, an internal link is a link from one page on a website or a domain to another page on the same domain. And then once you start to build up those internal links, you can build something called an internal link architecture, which is basically the idea of creating a kind of hierarchy using internal links on your site. And they're really, really good for SEO. They're basically a number of different factors that contribute to how a search engine basically crawls and indexes your website. But I would definitely say that internal linking is probably up there with one of the most important, because it really aids how the search engines can navigate throughout your site. Another reason why they're really, really good for SEO is they're really quick and really easy to implement. So internal linking can be placed on a piece of text on your website. I will go into that in a bit later. So it's really easy, and you often have lots of control over where you can put them. And they're really quick and easy as they act like an endorsement basically from one page to another. So they tell the search engine basically, hey, this other page is also really valuable, so go and crawl that and also rank that as well. And obviously, because it kind of acts a bit like an endorsement, it means that other pages that you link to can not only rank better, but they can also rank much, much faster. So whenever you publish a new piece of content, whether that is like blog content, whether that's a sales page, or any kind of other page on your website that you want people to find using a search engine, it's always a really, really good idea to go back to content and pages that you've already written and then add in internal links to those new pages, as I say, because it helps them to rank faster and rank better.
Okay, so it's a way of essentially telling a search engine which pages are important and which are more important than others on our website.
Exactly, yeah. So to begin, basically building that link architecture that I discussed, you start with an optimized web page, or it could be a blog post, or as I said, any other sort of page on your website. And then basically you start to make those links from other relevant internal pages. So as I said, that's where you link from one page to another, and it's acting a little bit like an endorsement. So in this case, these little green pages at the bottom here are passing what we call SEO authority, or that kind of endorsement, through to the magenta page at the top there. You can probably hear the terms SEO juice or link juice sort of thrown about the industry, but they all basically mean the same thing. It's the idea that when you're making those links from those, we call them lower level pages, that they'll pass that SEO authority up to those main sales pages and help to rank those better.
And this is also sometimes called a signal, I guess, as well. So it's a signal. So if we just use the example of pink dresses, if our page there, the magenta page we've got there, which is our optimized page, let's say we've done our title tag, our description, the on-page content, the H1 tag, all the on-page stuff that I'm sure we've done in another show on this channel at some point. You know, we've got a page that is relevant for a term, and then what we're doing here is from other pages on the website, we'll be building links to that pink dresses page using anchor text, like pink dresses, for example, and that would be that signal. So the search engine is kind of looking at that page and saying, well, on this page, you know, the green page you got there, the one that's linking, we do mention some stuff about pink dresses. So hang on, why wouldn't I rank that page then instead of the magenta one? Because they've both got content about pink dresses. So why wouldn't it rank the green one rather than the magenta one?
Because, as I say, that internal link, it sort of passes that search bot through to the main page, and it's a signal, like you said before, to the search engine to say, I know these pages are very similar. They both mention pink dresses, and they're both relevant to the idea of pink dresses. But I actually want you to rank that pink page, even though I know the green page, which could be a blog, for example, about pink dresses, even though I know that's similar, this is actually the main page that I want you to rank. So that's why they're really important. And it tells the difference to the search engines between those pages.
So we're almost saying, I know I'm talking about pink dresses in a lot of places on my website, but everywhere I'm talking about pink dresses, even though that content is relevant, everywhere I'm talking about that, I'm always linking pink dresses to the pink dresses page. So we're kind of going, I know we're kind of discussing it and there's some topic on other pages, but pink dresses are here. This is the one I want you to kind of rank for that particular term. And that's the, you know, multiple signals across the site pointing to the pink dresses page effectively, which is starting to build that internal link structure that you're talking about.
Yeah, precisely. And that actually leads me really, really well onto the next slide, which is we've talked about the idea of having kind of a little cluster of pink dresses, but this concept can basically be done across an entire website. So let's say you have blue jeans, you know that you might have blog posts that are relevant to that kind of topic of jeans or blue jeans, and then you can create your own little cluster for blue jeans, and then for red sweaters, or for any other different type. It doesn't necessarily have to be obviously clothing. If you're a service brand, it could be the same thing. So let's say, I don't know, you're in plumbing services, wherever you mention, I don't know, unblocking sinks, whether that might be a blog post, you actually want to rank the main service page. So it's completely transferable across all websites effectively. So it's really, really powerful. And then, as I've mentioned before, this idea of the link architecture, once you start to build up those smaller clusters, you can start to build up this kind of really large hierarchy, which all leads up to your homepage. And this structure is just really, really effective. It makes a website really strong in terms of SEO, and it also makes it much more faster to crawl a website, which is really, really important when it comes to obviously to SEO.
Excellent.
Yeah. So when we're coming to finding those internal links, there's really a ton of free tools out there available. To be honest, that I think it's down to personal choice which one you use. It's a case of going to Google, typing in internal link tools, and there will be a ton of free ones which come up. At Tillison, we use SEMrush. There's also tools like Screaming Frog, and they're personal favorites of the SEO team here. They're really user friendly. And obviously, when you're doing things like site audits as well, they will also flag up internal links on your website, probably more so ones that are broken or where there are opportunities to add internal links, but they're also really useful, your SEO audit tools, to find those internal links as well. And then when it comes to actually being on the page, there's various different Chrome extensions. So there's things like the Moz bar that you can download. So when you're actually looking at a web page, you can activate the Chrome extension, and then it will highlight any of the links, whether they're external or internal in this case. And then there's things like the link miner. Again, if you head to Google and type in sort of internal link Chrome extensions, there's a ton of ones available. So there's really a great deal out there.
Okay, awesome. And how do we optimize an internal link?
So there are several things that we can do. So you mentioned before the idea of anchor text. So when we talk about anchor text, that's basically the specific words on the page which you're going to attach the link to. So the Google bots, or obviously other search engines as well, they don't only consider the page that you're making the link to, the URL of the page you're linking to, but they actually use that specific piece of text that you're linking as a ranking factor. So if you're trying to rank for specific keywords that you're optimizing for, that's where your anchor text comes in. So if we go back to our analogy of pink dresses, if we want to rank our main pink dresses page for the term pink dresses, make sure that throughout any other content that's relevant on your site, you actually put your link on the words pink dresses, and that will obviously help to rank that main sales page.
Okay, but so why not just put pink dresses as text, make it anchor text, and put that in the footer so it's on every single page on the website? What's wrong with that?
So the issue when you do that is your navigation, whether that is at the top of your web page or within your footer, typically that stays on every web page throughout your website. Now, obviously, because those are still internal links, every time the bot comes to a page, it will also crawl every link within your navigation and every link within your footer, whether or not you've put a link to those in the actual text on the page. So if you have a link to pink dresses in the footer, that's going to be multiplied across thousands and thousands of different pages. And then the issue you have there, I mentioned previously about being able to crawl a website really quickly. You have something called a crawl budget when it comes to search engines. So they'll only spend a specific amount of time crawling your website to try and serve it up to a user. So if you've put 100 different links in your footer and in your navigation, you're just going to waste your crawl budget, and they're never going to get down to the much deeper levels, possibly of rich content. So that's why we use that anchor text as opposed to just putting it in the footer.
I guess if the pink dresses link is, if you only sell dresses, you're on Amazon where you've got like, 1 billion pages or whatever they've got on their website. So the problem with a site the size of Amazon or a website that's got that depth of content is you can't just put 1,000 links in your nav. I mean, John Mueller of Google has said, basically they give up after 100 links anyway on a particular page. So if you've got a really big, there's a trend at the moment, the last couple of years to have these kind of mega navs where it just drops down and it fills virtually the whole screen, and have these kind of big navs, which are kind of useful for users, I think, although really they like search boxes, let's be honest. But having those massive navs means, yes, you can cram lots of links in. The challenge for me is, if you put 100 links in your nav, they're the first thing on the page that the crawler is going to find, and then it's going to give up. So even if you've got links then in the body of your content or links on images, and then you've got links within the footer, the crawler's already stopped at the bottom of your nav. Basically, it will just get bored and stop from there. So, and that's going to be for every single page on your website that uses that nav. So essentially what you're doing by putting all that stuff in the nav is stopping Google looking at any internal links that you're building on blog posts, anything in your footer. So I think you've got to be really careful about kind of cramming your nav full of, every link you can think of. And then the other problem is if you're putting 50 links in your nav or 100, effectively you're saying, these are my 50 most important pages. They're equally important. Or these are my 100 most important pages, and they're all equally important. Now, that's just not true, is it? I mean, you can't have 100 equally important pages. That's like, if you had like 7 kids kind of saying, yeah, they're all equally important, which I guess they are to most people, but that's not true, really, is it? I mean, we've all got favorites, let's be honest, but but yeah, you can't work that way. You've got to have this hierarchy. So if you're saying everything is important, then nothing is, and that's where this kind of link architecture kind of fits. So I think you can have, think about the most important pages that you want to rank, the things that are most competitive, but also from a user experience, what is a user on your homepage or any page likely to want to find from that page that they're on? Whether that's in the nav, and we can get into a whole conversation about sectional nav, where the nav changes depending on which section of a website you're in, which Amazon does do actually. So if you're in the clothing section, you'll get a nav that's got the kind of top level stuff for the site, of course, course, but there'll only be a handful of links, whereas the kind of mega nav, the mega menu will be all about the clothing section. And I actually noticed they're doing something even more sneaky, which is very clever, which is personalizing the nav. So I was on a call on a meet with somebody saying, yeah, look at this on Amazon. And I'm going, go to this page, look at that. And they're like, I haven't got that in my nav. I've got a different nav. And I'm like, but you on this URL? Like, yeah. And then we're on the same URL as me, but they were getting a different nav. So that's kind of personalization, which is really clever for conversion rate optimization, everything else. But sticking with the SEO side of things, you could have sectional navs for your clothing section, which have got your pink dresses and everything else. Whereas your homepage, you may not have pink dresses in that because, I don't know, you got sports equipment, you got electronics, you got, I don't know, cuisine, you've got groceries, you got all these different sections. So you can't really put pink dresses there, but you could have a sectional nav for the clothing where you do have pink dresses. So you could have thousands and thousands of pages that do link to pink dresses, but not necessarily the homepage. So I think it's just about prioritizing for users and for SEO, which ones you want to include on every page or which ones you want to include in a certain section. And then anchor text. Have you got just an example you can just show us for anchor text? What does that mean in reality?
I do. So we'll just use this blog post from our website. So this is a blog post about the hottest web trends for 2021. So if we scroll down here, so this specific text, web design agency, if I click on that, that will take us through to the web design agency URL. And that is an example within a blog post of linking to a main sales page. And as we've said before, it's the specific keyword that obviously we would be hoping to rank that page for. So that's an example
that's
within
the signal
text.
Using that text with the anchor text. But we could link an image as well, right?
Yeah, anything that you can put a link to within a page, you can do. Sometimes, very occasionally, it really is not possible to put a link naturally within a sentence. So that's another thing about optimization, is you have to make sure that everything on your page not only looks natural to someone that's a human looking at it, but the search bots are also smart enough now to understand where you've just stuffed in an internal link. So
kind of link stuffing is a kind of bad idea. Just going, okay, well, I'll just go, your blue jeans example, I'll just find every page and I'll just cram the word blue jeans in, and just kind of going, well, if you're buying a pink dress, you might want to consider some blue jeans just to get that link. And it's like, whoa, just stop yourself. I mean, it's just mad, isn't it? I mean, it's rubbish.
Yeah, and the thing is, from a user point of view as well, and an agency point of view, time and time again, we go on to blog posts in particular, and you will just see all these internal links and obviously external links just sort of shoved in there. And as I said about the keywords, often they're very specific terms that people want to rank for, and that's where your creative writing skills really come in being able to kind of form a sentence that actually makes grammatical sense, both to a user and to a search bot, because time and time again, we see it, just like you said, when they're talking about pink dresses, and then blue dress, and it just doesn't make any sense. And the search bot is smart enough to understand that.
So the context of where you're linking from should be relevant to where you're linking to as well.
Exactly.
So I think the key message, I think generally I'm seeing is like, it just optimized for humans, because the bot is getting smart enough. So, just cramming the blue jeans thing in the middle of some sentence that's completely unrelated, if that just looks dumb to a human, then don't do it. It's not going to help really with your internal linking strategy at all. So, that's why we then tend to have, not just let's optimize a sales page, a transactional page for pink dresses, but let's, if we're creating a content plan around that, we might be saying, well, what do people search for with pink dresses? Maybe they're looking for, what tops go with pink dresses, or what color jewelry should you wear with a pink dress, that kind of stuff. We could have a blog post on that to answer that question as an informational piece of content that links obviously naturally then to our pink dresses page, and that makes sense. And I suppose within that, you could link to individual pink dress products, of course, in that content. So yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the other kind of pitfalls? You mentioned kind of keyword stuffing. What else kind of do people trip up on?
I think a big one that you've mentioned is obviously relevancy. So that's a huge one. obviously the number of internal links as well, not just putting an irrelevant link on a page, but if you've included it 3, 4, 5 times to the exact same web page, that also, it just comes across as spammy. It looks spammy both to the human that's looking at it and also to the search bot. So I think that idea that you said, just optimize everything for the human and then you're good with the search bot. So definitely.
And Google will only count the first version of that link that it finds anyway. So there's no point in writing like 17 paragraphs in your blog post and then linking to blue jeans in every single one of your 17 paragraphs, because like you say, it looks spammy to a human, and Google's going to ignore the second and third and fourth and fifth iteration of that anyway. So, you know, you're not really adding any value from an SEO point of view in any case.
Exactly.
What about, I mean, should you then just go, okay, if I'm trying to rank my blue jeans page, do I just go to every place on the website where I'm mentioning blue jeans and then just use that anchor text every single time? Same anchor text?
Not the same anchor text every single time, because that's just a huge missed opportunity in terms of keywords by itself. So I've mentioned before that obviously the search bots take into consideration that anchor text as well as the page you're linking to. I'm sure there's a ton of keywords out there that have really good search volumes related to blue dresses. So I don't know, for example, blue frilly dresses, let's say. So you can start to then rank for a variety of different terms through your internal linking, not just for the phrase blue dresses. So if you go back and you maybe have an opportunity to link to that blue dresses page, maybe think, can I put blue frilly dresses? Or maybe I could put blue A-line dresses, or whichever term that you've decided that you'd also like to rank for. So I think in that sense, it's a huge missed opportunity.
Okay, so those are, again, kind of signals where you're passing that authority, SEO juice, whatever you want to call it, via a link. So we're saying this is an important page, regardless of what the text is, but then we could have multiple different signals, slight variations to say, well, okay, I've got blue dresses, blue frilly dresses, A-line blue dresses, or whatever. One thing I think you could trip up on there, though, is if you have got a blue A-line dresses page, you don't want to link to the blue dresses page. You should link to the blue A-line dresses page. Otherwise, you're sending conflicting signals. Now we've got a blue A-line dresses page that's optimized, you know, on-page optimization for that. But then we've got internal linking signals saying, rank the blue dresses page for that instead of the one that's more relevant for it. So you just got to be kind of, make sure you're clear and not having conflicting signals, linking the same anchor text to either the wrong page or the same anchor text across multiple links going to different pages, because you'll confuse humans and they're going to end up in the wrong place, and that's bad for conversions and sales and revenue and everything else. But also you're going to confuse the bot, because you're saying, no, this page is relevant, no, this one is, no, this one is, hang on, no, maybe it's this one. And Googlebot will just get confused and say, do you know what, I don't know which one to rank, so I'm not going to rank any of them, you know, and the rankings will drop for kind of all of them if you're not careful.
And that's kind of, I would say it's almost just as bad as having 2 pages that are actually written nearly exactly the same. So there's something called cannibalization in SEO, which is a bit like what you just said there, Mark, where the search bot, because they're so similar, it doesn't know which one to rank. So effectively, it just gives up and it will push them down in the rankings. And that's not what you want. And SEO spend time, all the time, making sure that pages are unique from one another. And then if you're going through and then adding those internal links, as I say, they're really powerful to help rank specific pages for terms. If you're putting those links with the wrong keywords to the wrong pages, you're just completely counteracting any work that you've done to basically try and make each of those pages unique. So when this is done correctly, when you're keeping everything relevant, linking to the correct page that you actually want to rank in your hierarchy, and then building up those little clusters into a much larger architecture, that's when it works. So if you're going to start doing this, you need to spend some time and understand what you want to rank everything for, and then try and not cross those wires, basically.
Okay, so I think as ever, start with keyword research. Understand how much volume there is, what's relevant to your business, what is transactional, what's informational, what you're likely to be able to convert, what you can rank for. you know, what's going to be kind of really too competitive for you. Maybe decide kind of what your hierarchy should be, then go through and optimize your on-page content and your internal linking, and make sure that the anchor text is consistent, but use variations of your anchor text. Don't always use the same thing, but make sure that the linking is consistent. Use internal linking sparingly. Don't go mad with the, you know, that limit of 100. Don't go too mad with your navigation. Keep that kind of reasonably brief to give your links on the body and maybe in the footer a chance to actually get crawled. Yeah, and I guess kind of run through that. And guys watching, if you do some of this stuff and you go ahead and you do this stuff from this video and you're monitoring your rankings and you get a result out of this, we'd really love to hear from you, just to see how you're getting on, and mention that in the comments. That would be great. Good. One last point, I think, and this does happen, is having no internal links at all for a page, and that happens. So you get what we call an orphaned page, which we've come across recently with one of our clients, where we've got a really good page and it's really well optimized and it's a really great piece of content, but there are no internal links to it. It's not in the nav, it's not linked to from anywhere. So Googlebot probably can't find it, maybe from a sitemap or something, but there's no signals anywhere on that website that say this is an important page. So it just won't rank anywhere at all. So again, that's something you need to be a bit careful of. You know, that, as I say, there aren't kind of links at all to a page. You know, really good piece of content, but it's never going to rank. No one's ever going to find it.
Yeah, that's where the idea, as I said before, whenever you do put something new up, get in the habit of creating a process where you then go back into all that old content and then make those links. And it doesn't matter how old the previous content is. It could be a blog post from 2-3 years ago. If it's performing really well, then it's valuable, and if it's relevant, to put that link in. And that's how you avoid that. And then obviously those act as the endorsement for that new page, helps it rank faster, helps it rank better. All in all, it's really good SEO juice. So
good stuff.
Cool.
Great stuff. So thanks, Emily. That's been awesome. As I said before, please do ask questions in the comments. We do love to hear from you, and we know a lot of this stuff's very technical and you get stuck with it. So we love to hear your questions, and maybe we'll do a show just for you to answer the question that you've asked in future. So make sure you subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you soon.